Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly, inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system.
New York Attorney General James, you've successfully prosecuted Donald Trump in a civil fraud case, $486 million judgment, so you understand how at least he operates.
Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal. This long-running fraud was intentional, egregious, illegal.
You know, listen, we brought the case against Donald Trump, who was then a civilian, because he inflated his assets for the purposes of taking advantage of low interest rates and insurance rates.
Trump promised to lower prices, bring peace, and make your life better. According to New York Attorney General Letitia James, nothing could be further from the truth. In this exclusive interview, she explains how she took down his empire and why his current promises are just as fake as his building valuations. She didn't just win a $486 million judgment against him, she exposed the pattern of lies that connects his business fraud to his political agenda. But her biggest revelation, how she and other AGs are already fighting back and winning against his attempts to destroy democracy. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. When Trump's lawyers strut into court, they expect everyone to bow and kiss their rings like they're royalty visiting some peasant village. But New York Attorney General Letitia James, she doesn't play that game. She's more like that substitute teacher who shows up with all your homework assignments when you thought you were getting a free day to watch movies. For 2 long years, James dug through Trump's business records while he screamed, "Witch hunt," so often you'd think Salem was having a reunion tour. Meanwhile, James just kept collecting evidence, unfazed by the constant Twitter tantrums and Fox News hit pieces. What she discovered would make an accountant's head explode.
And he did all of this with the help of the other defendants, his 2 adult sons and senior executives at the Trump Organization. And so, after 11 weeks of trial,
You know, he engaged in this pattern and practice of illegality. And it was following a 2-year investigation after, hearing individuals, witnesses before a hearing. And so he would like to allege that it was politics, but it really wasn't.
we showed the staggering extent of his fraud and exactly how Donald Trump and the other defendants deceived banks, insurance companies, and other financial institutions for their own personal gain.
So we were able to secure a summary judgment, and then after a hearing, we secured a judgment, and the interest rate continued to increase, and we are awaiting at this point in time a decision from the appellate division.
Trump wasn't just fudging numbers, he was creating an alternate financial universe. This guy claimed his Trump Tower apartment was 3 times its actual size. 3 times? That's not creative accounting, that's creative fiction. Imagine telling your date your studio apartment is actually a 3-bedroom penthouse. That's Trump math for you. His legal team pulled out every trick in the playbook. First came the delays. We need more time. The dog ate our tax returns. Mercury is in retrograde. Then came personal attacks on James herself, as if questioning her motives would make those pesky financial documents disappear. When that didn't work, they went with the classic former presidents are basically kings defense, which turns out isn't actually in the Constitution. Who knew? But James had a secret weapon that drives Trump absolutely bonkers, sticking to facts. While his team was spinning tales wilder than a carnival barker, James just kept pointing to the evidence. No drama, no theatrics, just mountains of documents showing years of systematic financial fraud. It's like bringing a calculator to a shouting match. When Trump's lawyers cried, "This is politics, not law," James didn't respond with angry tweets at 3 a.m.
Donald Trump, his family, and his company unjustly benefited from his fraud. Today, the court, once again, ruled in our favor and in favor of every hard-working American who plays by the rules
Of the state of New York. And now what he is doing is causing more chaos, confusion, and contempt. Contempt for the law, contempt for individuals who work each and every day to serve our government, contempt for Congress.
Donald Trump and the other defendants were ordered to pay $463.9 million. That represents $363.9 million in disgorgement, plus $100 million in interest.
Republican members have just rolled over and allowed Elon Musk and his musketeers, obviously, to gain access to our private and personal information. He's throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks. And it's basically a brazen attack on our democratic.
Instead, she dropped stacks of evidence showing a clear pattern and practice of illegality that Trump had perfected over decades. It's a strategy that let him take advantage of unusually low interest rates and insurance premiums while regular people had to play by the rules. The deeper James investigated, the clearer the pattern became. Trump wasn't just occasionally stretching the truth. He had built an entire business empire on financial fantasy. It's like claiming your Matchbox car collection is actually a fleet of Ferraris and then getting bank loans based on that valuation. And here's where it gets really interesting. The same tactics Trump used in business are now showing up in government. Remember when he claimed his inauguration crowd was the biggest ever despite all photographic evidence? That was just a warm-up act. Now he's using fake numbers to justify cuts to programs like Social Security, inventing billions in fraud without a shred of evidence. It's the same playbook, just on a much larger and more dangerous scale. What makes James's perspective particularly valuable is her insight into Trump's character. While analyzing his business practices, she noticed something disturbing. Trump consistently punches down at the most vulnerable people. The same man who stiffed small contractors and launched scam universities now targets immigrants, the poor, and anyone else he perceives as unable to fight back. It's a bully's strategy, picking on those least equipped to defend themselves. What makes all this more concerning is how Trump attempts to undermine the very concept of rule of law. When facts and evidence don't go his way, he doesn't adjust his position. He attacks the entire system.
Donald Trump, the former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg, and the former controller of the Trump Organization, Jeffrey McConney, are each banned from serving as an officer or director of any New York company for 3 years.
Democratic system of government. And so I've got a duty and an obligation to defend the rule of law. I took an oath to the Constitution and not to the king. And that's what we are doing each and every day. It was not my intention.
Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump are banned from serving as an officer or director of any New York company for 2 years. And Donald Trump and his companies are banned from applying for loans.
But it is my intention, obviously, to ensure that the rights and privileges of New Yorkers are respected, and to use the law both as a sword and as a shield, particularly to protect vulnerable and marginalized populations and individuals.
He creates chaos and contempt for the democratic institutions that have kept our country stable for generations. It's like flipping the Monopoly board when you're losing, instead of accepting you landed on boardwalk with a hotel. In her final remarks, AG James drops a truth bomb that really sticks. Authoritarian government requires cooperation and consent, but democracy requires courage. This isn't just fancy talk. It's a wake-up call for anyone who thinks they can just sit back while democracy gets flushed down Trump's gold-plated toilet. James doesn't just complain about the orange menace. She empowers folks to fight back. Have some steel in your back, she tells citizens, reminding them that there are more of us than there are of those in the White House. That's right. The Trumpster and his goons are outnumbered. Her call to action isn't complicated. Tell the stories and let people know that this too is our country. Simple but powerful stuff. Grumpy Trumpy might think America is his personal playground, but James reminds us the playground belongs to all of us.